Hello, dear listeners. This is Akashwani Kohima, and we bring you another episode of the literary program, where we celebrate the beauty of words, the power of stories, and the soul behind the pen. Today in the studio, we are glad to be joined by an amazing emerging voice from Nagaland's literary landscape, someone who has already made a mark with her beautiful poetry and thoughtful writing. She is the author of Serendipity and has released her second collection of poems titled It Ends to Begin Again. Please join me in welcoming Elongshila Jamir. Welcome to the show, Elongshila. It's wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So before we begin with the interview, can you please reintroduce yourself to the listeners?
My name is Elongshila Jamir. I completed my master's from Nagaland University and I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor of Education from the State College of Teacher Education, and my hobby is reading and writing. I have also authored 2 collections of poetry.
So let's go back to the beginning, okay? So when do you first remember falling in love with words and poetry? Was there a moment that really sparked this journey?
Yes, definitely. I have always had love for words because they were the one thing that I could truly resonate with ever since my childhood. And I remember when I did not have my personal phone yet, I used to use my father's, but even he bought it very later in life because we could not afford one. And I used to ask my friends to download some quotations from Tumblr and those paragraphs of good morning and good night messages from SMS booklets. So if I have to recall and think of the moment and the days I actually fell in love with words, I think those days would be it.
That's so beautiful. So you also mentioned that you have completed your master's in English from Nagaland University. So how has your academic experience shaped your voice as a writer?
Since I studied literature, I think it did help me understand this broad world of literature as a whole. And if I have to specify on what and how did it influence my writing, I think it would be nuance and clarity of purpose. Because when we study literature, we don't get to shape our analytical and critical thinking skills, but we are also exposed and we get to explore this diverse cultures and their voices, people from different periods ranging from classics to modern literature. So all these things instilled in me the way I get to write and think, and the way I get to observe my own writings towards characters from books and people in real life.
So you also mentioned that through academic experiences you could get to know a lot of writers and poets. So who are some of the writers and poets that you personally look up to or turn to for inspiration?
I have quite a list, but if I have to look for inspiration, I think I would prefer the dark romantics, the confessional poets, and I also enjoy existential works. So if I have to name one from all the 3 groups, I would say Emily Dickinson, Sylvia Plath, and Fyodor Dostoevsky.
So now, coming back to your book, It Ends to Begin Again. It's such a striking and layered title. So can you share the story or emotion behind choosing this title?
Most of the people that I have met and interacted with, they shared that they don't find it that difficult to name or title their books or poems. But I don't know, I tend to put a lot of thought on it. And I like that you mentioned multi-layered because I wanted it that way. The story behind this title, It Ends to Begin Again, is that one day I was just pondering on this thought, like how everything in life seems to be so fleeting, but then again, at the same time, it is very constant. One day you wake up realizing, okay, things have ended. But then again, the other day, you sulk over things that have been going on for so long in your life. And of course, there's sorrow that things have ended and you have to begin it all over again. But then also there's happiness that even though things ended, you get the opportunity to begin again. And we cannot deny this duality of life. There's never just happiness and sorrow, just endings or beginnings, but there's both. Yeah, I went too far, but that's the story behind the title.
That's really beautiful indeed. So your new collection, it explores mental anguish or the complex web of thought that live in the mind, right? So was this book born out of a particular phase or personal experience?
The poems that I write are quite personal and confessional, so I would say that it did come out of me and what I was going through, although I metaphorically used the seasons and its cycle to compare it with my life. And I also divided the sections and named each sections as different seasons. I started it with winter, then I went to spring, summer, fall, and then ended it with winter again.
So more like the seasons of life.
Yeah.
So now looking back at your first book, Serendipity, how do you feel you have grown as a writer between that collection and your new one?
I believe I share the same thoughts as some of the readers have expressed. I genuinely feel that the themes and ideas in the second collection is more mature, and Serendipity was serendipity in itself. It was a beautiful accident.
So if you could describe It Ends to Begin Again, your book, in just 3 words, what would they be?
3 words to describe the collection would be tangled, lost, and surrender.
That's really beautiful indeed. So, do you have a personal favorite poem or a few lines from the book It Ends to Begin Again that you could share with us today?
I do have one. It's one of my favorites and also the first poem of the second collection. It is titled as Tangled Yarns. Just like this, another cold January shall pass by, calmly but heavily, when we are warm under blankets or seated by the fireplace with knitted sweaters and socks, but our hearts tangled yarns, weary and anxious of beginnings.
That's really beautiful indeed.
Thank you.
So every writer has their own ritual or rhythm, right, to write their own books or poems. So what does your writing process look like? Are you someone that writes things in impulse, or do you follow a strict discipline or routine?
I hate to admit this. I would love to have this specific time for writing, okay, but I don't know, I cannot do it. I like to write when I'm like hit with a sudden inspiration or thought. I think you could relate with it too since you are an artist. I like to write when I'm hit with those things, and even if I'm studying or in the middle of doing something or even in the middle of the night, if I come up with a beautiful line, I wake up, I write those things, and I either go on or revisit it later. So right now, I don't have a specific time for writing.
So it's before your creative juice runs out, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So many aspiring poets may be listening to you right now. So what words of encouragement or advice would you give to someone still trying to find their voice?
I would say try to find meaning in quiet moments, because I think it is in one of these quiet moments that the first line of your poem or story or novel or your song, those lines will arrive to you, and your voice is not something you invent. That is my perspective, and it is something we return to, and it's something unfiltered by trends, comparison, and expectations.
So just finding your originality in the midst of chaos or white noises, to say. Beautiful. So you have already published 2 books. So are there any new writing projects or books you're currently working on?
Honestly, I have been feeling a little scattered lately, but I did return to an unfinished work and I'm working on it. I'll tell you more about it once I complete it.
Also, we're expecting a new book.
Yeah.
So for a lighter note, so if you could invite any 3 authors or poet to a tea or coffee table conversation, who would they be?
You know, I always wanted someone to ask me this question.
Oh.
Yeah, so if I were given this very opportunity, I think I would definitely go for the dead writers.
Okay.
Yeah. And specifically the ones that I mentioned earlier, Sylvia Plath, Fyodor Dostoevsky, and Emily Dickinson.
So I have a feeling you have a lot of questions for them.
Yeah, and like I have a feeling that that very conversation would be full of silence, but even if it's silent, that conversation would linger even after the coffee or the tea gets cold. And the questions that I have now will not be replaced with answers, but then again, it will be replaced by a strange feeling of understanding.
So the words of thoughts,
Yeah.
conversation of thoughts, basically. All right. So outside of writing, what is something unexpected or maybe quirky that brings you joy or helps you unwind? Maybe a guilty pleasure, a hobby, or even a comfort food. What is something that makes you unwind?
Can I specify like all the 3 things?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, so guilty pleasure would be watching a series. I don't know, I cannot stop if I start one. And hobby would be reading, and comfort food would be ice cream and pizzas.
So what is your favorite series then?
Oh my goodness, Harry Potter.
Oh, you are a
And
Potterhead.
yeah, Harry Potter, and I also like the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So something that is mystic, magical.
Fantastical.
Exactly. Okay. Another question for you. If your poems could be turned into a soundtrack or song, what kind of music or artist do you think would match the mood of your writing?
If my poems could be turned into a soundtrack, I imagine they'd sound like a blend of the Cranberries song Linger
Oh,
and Fleetwood Mac's Dreams
alright.
and the Taylor Swift's album Folklore and Evermore. It will be like a mix of timeless mysticism and introspective honesty and storytelling.
So to all the Swifties listening out there, I think you should read her book, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you so much for this amazing session with you. I'm really having a good time learning from you. We are coming to an end of this episode. Before we conclude, could you please share a short message to our listeners?
I just want to say thank you as well, the Akashvani Kohima, for having me, and to our listeners for staying till the end. And whether you are in a season of stillness or change, may you continue to find comfort in stories and courage in beginnings, because it ends to begin again.
Well, thank you so much, Elongshila, for opening up your world to us today. Your words, your journey, and your poems have truly touched our hearts. We wish you all the very best for your literary journey, and also looking forward for more of your writings in the months, I think, to come, because since you have already mentioned you're working on a book. And to our dear listeners, if you haven't yet, do pick up the book It Ends to Begin Again and immerse yourself in its lyrical honesty and emotional depth. Until next time, this is Tia Longkumer, your host for this evening's literary program. Stay inspired, stay tuned to Akashvani Kohima, and keep listening.
Please like and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for the latest contents. Also, follow us on all our social media handles.